Hey Pokemon champions, what's going on? It's Champion DarkBlaze here, and Game Freak over the years has released many Pokemon games, such as going from Red and Blue to current day Pokemon Sword and Shield, even releasing various side games such as Pokemon Ranger series, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and the critically acclaimed Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gala Darkness. But no matter which Pokemon game you're playing, of course you have to choose a starter Pokemon. A Pokemon that's going to be by your side the entire journey, whether that be something like a Pikachu, an Eevee, a Chimchar, or something like Froakie or Sobble. And no matter which Pokemon you choose, usually that Pokemon is one of the most special Pokemon to you because it's the first one that you choose, and it's usually a memorable event. So today, I am here to talk about the first Pokemon that I've used of every type, whether that be something like a Wailmer, something like a Geodude, or something as simple as just going out and catching a Wurmple. And so today, make sure to leave your first Pokemon that you've ever used down in the comments below, and let's reminisce about all the times we had with those Pokemon. So if you enjoy the Season 3 finale of this channel, be sure to hit that thumbs up down below, make sure you subscribe to the Champion Squad for more fun Pokemon content, and share this video with your friends. And with that being said, let's talk about the first Pokemon I've used of every type.
Alright, I choose you!
Alright, so starting with my third favorite type of Pokemon, my very first grass type is none other than the tiny leaf Pokemon Turtwig. I remember the day I got Pokemon Diamond and started playing this amazing game. I remember going to Professor Rowan, getting to his lab, and he gave me Turtwig. And it was amazing. I remember battling with Turtwig before I even got it, so it made the connection feel like it was already there. I used this Pokemon, and then I get to keep it. This is my friend now in the game. And I remember evolving into a Grottle, into a Torterra. This mighty, awesome world grass turtle was an amazing part of my team and helped me become the champion of my first ever game in the Sinnoh region, which is why I love Turtwig so much and why I love Gen 4 and Gen 4 as a whole and the Sinnoh region. It's absolutely amazing because of Turtwig. And seeing it in the anime is just the icing on the cake because Turtwig is a phenomenal Pokemon in the anime, even helping Ash win great gym battles against Candace, Rourke, and Gardenia, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. And yes, I realize Grottle was helping Ash beat Candace, but it's still in the Turtwig line. And plus, Turtwig is just so cute. I mean, look at it. It's a tiny turtle. It's amazing. Like, what's not to love? So Turtwig was the first grass type I've ever used. Some honorable mentions of some other early grass Pokemon I used include Snivy, Chikorita, Chespin, Seedot, and Badoo. The first fire type I've ever used in a game is Ponyta. Again, going back to Pokemon Diamond was the first main series game I ever played. Therefore, it has a lot of Pokemon that I used for the first time in a playthrough. So Ponyta was my first fire type. I remember catching it, I think around the time of Eterna City, or maybe around the time of Hearthomer Salacion. I remember catching Ponyta. I needed a fire type because I knew I needed a grass, fire, water core. So I thought, Ponyta, I love it. It's a fire horse. What's not to love? Simple and cute. And I got Ponyta on my team, evolved it into a Rapidash, and again, this Pokemon helped me defeat all the trainers across the Sinnoh region. It was absolutely amazing. I think it gave it Flamethrower, even Flare Blitz. It was just a great asset to the team, and again, this Pokemon is just so cute. What is not to love about this thing here? What is not to love? So Ponyta makes its way to the first fire type spot, and some honorable mentions for some other fire types that I ever used in a playthrough include Flareon, Litleo, Darumaka, and Fletchinder. Now for the first water type I ever used, and while this varies greatly with a lot of people because water type is the most abundant type in the game, the first water type I ever used was actually Magikarp. Magikarp is a great Pokemon because it evolves into the atrocious Pokemon Gyarados. So I knew that if I came across a Magikarp, I of course was going to catch it, and I did. I got a Gyarados on my team in Pokemon Diamond, but I think later replaced it with maybe either Tentacruel, and if Tentacruel didn't make it, then of course I got a Buizel. And Magikarp was a great powerhouse to add to the team early on. giving me moves early on at level 20, such as Dragon Breath, Twister, and it was a great surfer, great user for Waterfall, and I remember giving it Ice Fang at some point. It's just a great asset to the team. So for these reasons, Magikarp of course became my first water type Pokemon and a favorite water type of mine. I know Magikarp is useless in battle, but you give it Tackle, you switch train it, and it's a great Pokemon on your team. Some honorable mentions of early Pokemon I used of the water type also include Seal, Tirtuga, Buizel, and Tentacool. On to my second favorite typing, fire is my favorite type. My first electric type Pokemon I ever used was Pachirisu, a cute Pikachu clone. And Pachirisu, of course, a great member of my team in Pokemon Diamond. Yeah, we're talking about Pokemon Diamond a lot, but you know, I'm a Gen 4 stan, so there we go. Pachirisu was a great Pokemon to add, having moves such as Super Fang, Discharge, and I think even Thunderbolt. Pachirisu was a great Pokemon to have. I remember catching it by Salacion Town and immediately keeping it on my team because of how cute it was and because I had seen it prior in the anime with Dawn's Pachirisu. Dawn is really what made me fall in love with this Pokemon, and I have amazing memories of it, and it was so cute in the anime, always shocking Dawn. Kind of reminding me of the trope that Pikachu has, shocking every person it basically comes into contact with at some point or another. Other honorable mentions for the very first electric type I could have used are Blitzel, Jolteon, Mareep, and Shanks. On to the normal type, where my first normal type was actually Eevee. And I did not play Let's Go Eevee, that would not make Eevee my first normal type. No, I played the critically acclaimed Pokemon XD Gala Darkness and Colosseum, and in those games, your starter Pokemon is an Eevee. I mean, technically in Colosseum you start with Umbreon and Espeon, but again, they are evolutions, which just makes Eevee that much cooler by having these branch evolutions split off. Eevee again is so cute. Look at this thing, it's so fluffy. Eevee is a great Pokemon, very cute, doesn't have the best moveset, but I love Eevee because it was the very first Pokemon I could consider a starter Pokemon. I played XD Gala Darkness before I got Pokemon Diamond. So I remember using Eevee, having those many battles before I got a Firestone and evolved it into Flareon, which is why Flareon is also one of the first fire types I ever used. So I have great memories of Eevee and Flareon helping me throughout the Ore region of Pokemon XD Gala Darkness, and it is for this great memory and this great journey that Eevee gave me as to why I love it so much. Eevee is even on my channel banner, along with Pikachu, Turtwig, Starly, and Charmander. So that just goes to show how special Turtwig and Eevee are. Other honorable mentions for my first ever normal type are Skitty because of XD Gala Darkness, Teddiursa because of XD Gala Darkness, and Baneri as well because I also caught one in Pokemon Diamond. It just was not part of my team. My first ever ground type was actually Baltoy, believe it or not. Now I did say I got Torterra in Pokemon Diamond, but that did not make Torterra my first ever ground type. It was actually Baltoy prior to playing Pokemon Diamond. Baltoy was an amazing Pokemon, and it is in my video of the weakest and most difficult Pokemon to train, in my opinion, but Baltoy was nonetheless still a great asset to the team after evolving into the powerhouse Psychic type Claydol. It does retain that awesome ground typing, and it was amazing. It's one of those Pokemon I consider really weak, but then once it evolves and you've given it that love and that training, it becomes one of your most strongest Pokemon on your team, in my opinion. At least a great powerhouse for when you need it. Baltoy was absolutely fantastic and showed me what a true ground type can do, especially having that added psychic bonus. So I have really good memories with this Pokemon, traveling across the Ore region and defeating Team Snag'em, or technically Team Cypher, with this Pokemon. And of course, honorable mentions for my first ever ground type are, like I mentioned earlier, Torterra and Phanpy. Next up, my first ever rock type Pokemon is Lunatone, another Pokemon I used because of Pokemon XD Gala Darkness, and I remember the very first ever playthrough I had of that, where my team was very much different. I distinctly remember having a Lunatone, and when I got to the Team Cypher base, I remember specifically using a Lunatone that knew Hyper Beam, and I still remember the image, the graphic of Hyper Beam being used, and it was absolutely fantastic to see Lunatone in that animation delivering a final blow to that admin's final Pokemon. Lunatone came in clutch a lot of times, and again was a Psychic type just like Claydol, so I really got to see Psychic type power, and I loved Lunatone's Levitate ability as well. Other honorable mentions for my first ever rock type are Onix, Tyrant, and Rockruff. Now my first ever flying type, and that would be Starly. I know Starly's primary type is normal, but since Eevee already takes the normal type spot, Starly gets the flying type for doing its secondary typing. If you've seen my video, The Meaning of Starly, then you probably already know how much Starly means to me as a Pokemon. It is absolutely fantastic, was a great early bird, still to this day is my favorite early bird Pokemon, although it is rivaled by the Corviknight line and the Talonflame line. So it does have some good competition, but Starly still holds that title as the best early bird. And can we just look at it? What is not to love about this design? Look at it. So cute, so amazing, and the hair on top of its head just amazing. Starly was a great Pokemon to catch. It was my first ever capture back in Pokemon Diamond, and battling it with double battles alongside Turtwig is just amazing. I have so many fond memories of Starly. I'm currently, at the time of this video, playing Pokemon Pearl and Platinum, and again, Starly is on both teams because it's just an amazing Pokemon. You don't go through the Sinnoh region without using a Starly and eventually a Staraptor. So for all these reasons, it's amazing and was my very first flying type Pokemon. Other honorable mentions of my very first flying type are Pidgey and Pidove. On to my very first bug type, and like Ash Ketchum in the anime, my very first bug type capture was a Caterpie back in Heart Gold. I caught Caterpie on the early routes, got it before my very first gym battle against Falkner, and evolved that into a magnificent, majestic Butterfree. Caterpie, of course, is a weak Pokemon to train, but if you give it that love, give it that switch training, it becomes the awesome Butterfree. I even used one in Let's Go Pikachu and brought Butterfree again back to the Indigo League. Heart Gold was the very first time I used a Caterpie and brought it to the Indigo League to beat the Elite Four and become champion. Butterfree is an amazing Pokemon, a great bug type. There's nothing really you can go wrong with, and especially if you use it nowadays, you can even catch a Butterfree in Sword and Shield, and again, if you get a Butterfree, I can give you this great suggestion for such a clutch moveset, which is Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz, Air Slash, and Psychic. Put this moveset on a Butterfree, and you are ready to sweep a lot of teams with this awesome bug type, especially in the Kanto games where Team Rocket has a lot of poison types on their teams. Caterpie here is the very first bug type I've ever used. Honorable mentions for the first bug type are also Grubbin, Wimpod, and Heracross. Next up, my first ever dark type was actually Umbreon due to playing Pokemon Colosseum before XD Gala Darkness. Umbreon, of course, is an evolution which heightens my love for Eevee, but Umbreon is a great Pokemon to use in a playthrough. I used it in Silver last year, and I used it, of course, in Colosseum. Umbreon has such a sleek design, it's amazing, and it really has a great concept behind it because it is a dark type, but the yellow rings lighting up kind of make it resemble light as well as it is the Moonlight Pokemon, which counteracts the Espeon, which is the Sun Pokemon, and I think that's just an awesome feature to add to the quality of Umbreon. And it helped me again crush Team Snag'em in the Ori region, so Umbreon is just amazing. It's my first ever dark type Pokemon. Honorable mentions for my first ever dark type are Houndour, Nuzleaf, and Sandile. Now, on to my first ever ghost type, and that was Decidueye. Yes, it took me 7 generations of playing Pokemon games to come to use a ghost type finally. And yes, Decidueye, I'm glad that this was my first ghost type. Decidueye is one of those rare, awesome Pokemon that I can consider a god. And yes, while I do know this amazing, adorable, cute, spherical Rowlet is a god in the Pokemon fanbase, Decidueye is truly an amazing godlike Pokemon because of its ability in my Ultra Necrozma battle in Ultra Sun. As many Pokemon fans know, Ultra Necrozma is one of the absolute toughest battles in any Pokemon game throughout the franchise's history. Ultra Necrozma has boosted stats, it has an overpowered moveset, and it's just unstoppable to many people. However, I did beat it first try, and my Decidueye was the one that delivered the final blow against Ultra Necrozma with Sinister Arrow Raid. So for that, it was an amazing experience to have this be my first Ghost-type Pokemon. And of course, other honorable mentions of Ghost types that I have used prior to catching Decidueye are Dusknoir, Spiritomb, and Giratina, but they unfortunately were not used in any playthroughs. Next up, my first Psychic type, and of course, like Umbreon, it has the honor of being used in my or a region playthrough of Pokemon Colosseum. This was the first time I did use a Psychic type, and it was alongside the Moonlight Pokemon Umbreon, and it was a fantastic experience to use these two synced together in double battles. While Espeon did prove to be a bit stronger as it was Psychic, and Umbreon's moveset was really not the best. But Espeon did prove to be a great asset to my team and just fantastic. It complements Umbreon really well, and I'm glad it got to be my first Psychic-type Pokemon. Other honorable mentions do include Claydol. Now, one of my absolute favorite ones to talk about next is my first Steel-type Pokemon, that being the temporal Pokemon Dialga. Yes, Dialga was the very first legendary Pokemon I ever captured in any game, and it was an amazing first capture. This to be my first Steel type and my first Dragon type capture as well. But there will be another spot coming up for the Dragon type. Dialga is just amazing with its very hard, durable, and sleek design nonetheless due to being a dragon, and it was just amazing. It encompasses time. The diamond on its chest is just amazing to really represent the hardness that is the Steel type, with diamond being the most durable substance on Earth. And Dialga was just absolutely an unstoppable monster in my first diamond playthrough alongside Pokemon such as Pachirisu, Floatzel, Staraptor, Torterra, and Rapidash. Other honorable mentions for my first Steel-type Pokemon would be Togedemaru. Yes, I did not use a Steel type for 2 more generations. My first Fighting-type Pokemon actually comes out of Generation 6 from Kalos, being the almighty Chestnut. Chestnut 1 has a fantastic name, but I think it's a very good progression from the very small and I guess you could consider a weak Chespin to a bulky Juggernaut awesome grass type Pokemon. Yes, you could use Lucario in the Gen 4 games after you get it as a gift from Riley, but for some reason 10-year-old me did not use the Lucario. I have used Lucario prior to obtaining Chestnut, but Chestnut does make its debut as my first fighting type Pokemon to be used in an actual playthrough. I love Chestnut's signature move of Spiky Shield, and that is just really what made me fall in love with this Pokemon because of that signature move. It gave me Captain America vibes, and I just love the concept of using a nice shield. It's just a very nice different take on using Protect. Other honorable mentions for my first fighting types are Heracross, Monferno, Riolu, and Beware. On to the poison type. The first one I ever used is the very annoying Zubat. Zubat, of course, we all know it's found in caves all over the Pokemon world, and it's just a common nuisance. But I like this nuisance because of the anime, with Brock owning a Zubat. So I think that's what really made me like a Zubat. Had I not really seen Zubat in the anime prior to playing the games, I don't think I would have loved Zubat as much, because I probably, like any other game player, would have found Zubat very, very annoying. Zubat has an amazing progression into Golbat and into eventually the godlike Pokemon Crobat, and it has been on my team for many, many playthroughs, including my current Enchanting Emerald Let's Play on the channel. Crobat does in the work and is a fantastic asset to any team, even being featured multiple times in the Pokemon Best Team series by MysticUmbreon on multiple teams. It is truly an MVP. Other honorable mentions for my first ever poison type also include Grimer and Toxel. Now for the fairy type, which my first fairy type also comes out of the Kalos region, being Dedenne. Yes, another Pikachu clone that actually did a lot of work on my journey in the Kalos region. Pachirisu is fantastic and will always be better than Dedenne in my opinion, but Dedenne is still strong as nails when it comes to a playthrough. At the time, however, I did not know that Dedenne was actually a fairy type Pokemon. I thought it was just a classic electric type. When I got the Pokemon registered, I think I overlooked its fairy typing, so I always thought it was just an electric type. But I think I did realize before getting to the league that this actually was a fairy type Pokemon when I realized a dragon type couldn't hit it, which I found out was an absolute absurd thing to do with a type. But that was just amazing because until now, the dragon type was always the strongest, deemed the strongest type in the Pokemon world, and it was cool to see that a fairy type could be hit by it. So Dedenne made for some really awesome moments. Other candidates for my first fairy type are Ralts. And speaking about dragons, next up is my first dragon type, which was Zekrom. Now I did mention earlier that Dialga, the temporal Pokemon, was my first ever dragon type capture, but since its primary typing is Steel, it takes up the Steel type category, whereas Zekrom's first type is Dragon. Zekrom, the being of ideals. Yes, this almighty dragon was a great asset in my first white playthrough in the Unova region. Being stuck with only Unova Pokemon, I needed a mighty Unova dragon. I was really appealed by its black design and its electric type, which is again my second favorite typing. Zekrom put in the work with its Bolt Strike move, and I absolutely loved it. It was such a great dragon, just like Dialga, and I had flashbacks of using Dialga while using Zekrom because it was just absolutely amazing. Zekrom was a great first dragon type to use. Other honorable mentions include Dialga, Turtonator, and Duraludon. Now finally, the only other type that can take down a dragon besides a fairy or a dragon itself is the Ice type, and my first ever Ice type Pokemon was Spheal. Going back to the Ore region in Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, I caught this cute, spherical, round, adorable little Spheal, and it made great work on my team when it evolved into a Walrein. This Pokemon with its Ice Ball move, Ice Beam, Blizzard, these Ice type moves really froze all of my opponents, and Spheal is just amazing. It's one of those spherical Pokemon that you just love. You can't really hate it, and it's got a great design. It's simple, it's cute, and it just has so much appeal to it. Spheal was a great first Ice type Pokemon to use in any playthrough. Honorable mentions do include Dugong and Snorunt. And there we go, Pokemon Champions. Those are the very first Pokemon I've ever used of each of the 18 Pokemon types. But what did you think of this video? And what are some of the first Pokemon you've ever used of your first type? What was your first starter, your first early bird or early route Pokemon? What are those awesome memories you have with the first Pokemon that you've ever used? Be sure to let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the Season 3 finale, be sure to give it that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the Champion Squad for more fun Pokemon content like this of all kinds. And make sure you share this video with your friends. Of course, there will be brand new, more fun content coming in Season 4, and that will begin soon. So until next time, Pokemon Champions, train hard, and I will catch you guys later.